Hello and welcome to the News9 Plus show on the world's first news and current affairs OTT platform, News9 Plus. 37 days, 7 terror attacks. That's what we've seen in Jammu this past month. In the latest attack, an army officer and 3 other army personnel were killed in Jammu's Doda district. Joining me on the News9 Plus show tonight is Lieutenant General Satish Dua, one of the planners of the 2016 surgical strikes. I'll be asking him about the timing of these attacks and whether these warrant a retaliation by India. Also joining us is Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni, former Director General Infantry. And also joining us is my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul in the studios at News9 Plus. Gentlemen, welcome to the News9 Plus show. General Dua, I want to start by asking you this. You know, it's been 8 years since India launched surgical strikes on Pakistan. Do you think the time has come for another set of attacks to tell the Pakistan deep state that these kind of attacks won't go unpunished?
Sandeep, first of all, allow me to offer my condolences to the families of those killed in action and also to the units of those of the soldiers and the officer, because units are also families in the army. Coming to your question, a straight answer to your question would be an oversimplification. I mean, a short answer to your question would be an oversimplification. Allow me to say that what has happened in the last, you pointed out some statistics, and we have seen how south of Pir Panjal region, the Jammu region, has been activated over the last more than a month or so. There is a clear design to activate the so far dormant areas.
Right.
And why is this being done? It is being done because in the valley, the grid is very tight. There is no stone pelting on the road. There is no violence on the streets. There is no band. There are no hartals. There are schools are opening. Tourists are coming in droves. So all that is happening, and there is a at least on the surface, there is a move towards normalcy.
Right.
Then there is a talk of the elections. Now, the elections have to be held in the next couple of months. When all this is happening, the terrorists want to instill fear in the minds of the people, and that is why they are going on to the south of Pir Panjal, and then all the terror attacks we've seen, so many casualties among security force personnel that we've seen. But to your question now, whether this is a time to do another surgical strike, I would put it this way. There is a need for a bold response.
Right.
There is a need to create turbulence amongst the terrorist ranks, because so far they are using hit and scoot tactics. They are using soft targets. They are targeting, even up certain community. Pilgrims have been targeted. So they are doing all this. So we need to do something to create turbulence in their comfort zones. So what shape that will take? Will it be a strike across into the terrorist camps across the border, or it is going to be a precision strikes like we did earlier? Because no two attacks, no two responses will be same. Or take your mind back to 10, 11 years ago, there was this huge operation called Sarp Vinash in the south of Pir Panjal in Hill Kaka areas. Yes, 2003. And then also what we did is we created a very big operation which yielded good results, which threw the terrorist networks out of gear. And that's what we need to do. We need to take some bold measures with all of government and all of security for nation approach to not just remain defensive all the time. We need to create turbulence. And last sentence, it is easy for us to discuss. I'm sure the planners, the strategists, the leader, the military leadership and the leadership themselves are deciding, are taking measures as to what shape their response will take.
Absolutely. We need to instill fear. We need to bring in turbulence in the ranks of the terrorists. General Sanjay Kulkarni, you're very adept at creating turbulence. I remember when you climbed up in Siachen, and that was an international incident where India captured Siachen 4 decades ago. That was a remarkable move by India, a proactive move by India. But now, 40 years later, when you're faced with this wave of terror attacks in the southern part of Jammu and Kashmir, the soft underbelly which has been unguarded for so long. What are the options before India really? As General Dua mentioned, what is the kind of bold response that we could offer to put the terrorists on the back foot?
See, Sandeep, I would first and foremost go along with General Dua to pay my respects to the dear departed. One feels very bad, especially because I have commanded in that same area, so I know what it means. Yes, I would go along with him to say that we have to raise the cost for Pakistan.
Right.
There is no denying the fact. And that is absolutely essential. But then it has to be orchestrated in a manner that Pakistan must feel the pinch. Pakistan must not think that this proxy war can carry on, that Pakistan must not feel this bleeding India with 1,000 cuts is something which is a low-cost option and carry on. And now being instigated by China that keep India boxed in South Asia and let them not progress, let them not do anything. And again, lots of people within our own country, whether the political parties or people of prominence, eminence, whatever it is, being seen as clearly division, polarized society, where you have, whatever you might want to say, you will come out with something which is totally very annoying, I would say that way. So until and unless we as a nation stand united, that we have to raise the cost for Pakistan. Now, to say that we need to go just knee-jerk reaction, hit here, hit there, well, that's not the only way. We have to raise the cost. How do we go about it? That's what is very important, because as you rightly said, 37 days and so many people, and that, as a soldier in once in uniform, I can understand how difficult it is. How difficult it is for the CEO of 10RR who's just lost an officer, and how difficult it must be for everybody over there. And everybody, let me tell you, everybody, Sandeep, must be working day in and day out to ensure that these incidents don't come up. But, well, Pakistan, and again, there are lots of people, OGWs, there are people who are here within us also trying to, giving them local support, ensuring that the way in, you cannot move in forested area of Doda, Kishtwar, Bhadarwa without knowing the knowledge, having the knowledge of that area. That knowledge of the area is absolutely essential. These forests, you cannot live off the land in this forested area. You have to have people supporting you with food, with shelter, with clothing, all of it that you want to have. There are people living in higher reaches. Now at the time you find all these Bakarwal moving around with their sheep, goat, horses, cows, buffaloes, everybody on the higher reaches. So these are the people who are mingling with them. Then some people who probably have been bought, because all said and done, until and unless, as I say, like fish can't live without water, so can't these terrorists without local support. So where is this local support coming from? And we have to hit them hard, no question. I know you will have families. Yeah, I've served in Doda, Thatri, Kishtwar, Bhadarwa area. So I know there will be families. One is a militant. Yet another one in the same family is working in Anganwadi. Yet another is a businessman. The fourth one is an engineer somewhere. The fifth one is a government employee. You find and you tell that family, why don't you get this boy surrender? Oh, you can kill him. Then says, Janab, ab maar do. Ye hamari sunta nahi hai. And but that family is enjoying the goodwill of having a boy who's a militant from within the family. And therefore, until and unless the costs are risen, even in India, that if we find any family involved with it, we give you certain time, you can't, then you are also going to pay a cost for it. Until and unless we raise the cost for the Pakistanis, we have to raise the cost for those who are supporting those Pakistanis in India.
Aditya, this is new. I mean, Jammu, a region that hasn't seen terror attacks in several years, and now you have General Kulkarni talking about local support. They clearly could not have survived for so long, for several months now, without some kind of local support, logistics, food, shelter, clothing, all of this. What do you know, what are you hearing about the kind of local support that these terrorists are getting in Jammu?
You know, there's no doubt in my mind, Sandeep, that what General Kulkarni mentioned about the local support is very much true. But first I'll come to the larger point. And the larger point is that I've been trying to calculate and understand and analyze this for a month now, what's been happening in Jammu. And try to redraw over the last 3 years, ever since the ceasefire actually began, 3 to 4 years. I think ceasefire has been a mistake. I think ceasefire has been a blunder, which was done in a goodwill gesture so that the local population is benefited, which they did on both sides. But strategically, I think it's been a miscalculation. The Pakistanis, the Pakistani deep state and the proxy groups have used this to their advantage. They have sneaked in their men at a very appropriate time when the third term of the Modi government began. And
Right.
it began with a bang, unfortunately,
Yes.
when the Riyasi terror attack happened, gradually in
Right.
Kathua, Doda. And we have seen frequent terror attacks. We have lost almost 15 men
Yes.
in the last less than 40 days,
Right.
with 7 to 9 terror attacks actually taking place. This is a huge challenge. I would say,
Absolutely.
and go on to
Yes.
say, that counterintelligence has been the weakest, unfortunately, in Jammu. And one larger point also, Sandeep, is that, what the J&K police really does, and J&K police is a very competent organization, one of
Yes.
the best counter-terror organizations in the country.
Especially the SOG.
Absolutely. The
Right.
SOG is the lead in
Yeah.
all such operations, including the intelligence gathering capabilities that they have.
Yes.
What they do is that several times young officers are
Right.
put in charge as SSPs or deputy SPs in this area.
Yes.
We also have officials from other districts coming in to Rajouri, Kishtwar, Poonch and all this belt. They take time to understand the location.
Right.
They take time to analyze how the movements of the terrorists could actually take place, how
Yes.
the radicalization can creep in. What also happens is that if you have locals who have dealt with terrorism in this area,
Yes.
if you have locals who have been there, who understand the language, who
Right.
understand the nuances of the communities, the Gujjars, Bakarwals, the Hindu community, the Shias and the Sunnis, they would be far more competent to handle the situation. So I would recommend
Yes.
that old officials who have dealt with terrorism can be consulted, and secondly, put people from Kishtwar in Kishtwar, from Rajouri in
Yes.
Rajouri, and try to understand how counter-terrorism can be picked up. And of course, there is a multiple challenge of
Yeah.
a large group of terrorists that has sneaked in almost a month ago,
Right.
and they've been carrying out these terror attacks. They've been hiding very, very easily. Old routes are being used, and
Yes.
Chinese encrypted devices, other devices that cannot be cracked, are
Right.
also being used by them. So there are multiple levels of problems, and the larger question of Pakistan.
Yes.
Today there's been an attack in Bannu Cant where 8
Right.
Pakistani soldiers have been killed,
Right.
apparently by one of the groups situated in Afghanistan. But I certainly would want that the Modi government, which had a great track record
Yes.
of national security in Modi 1 and Modi 2,
Absolutely.
continue with that in Modi 3, because in the last 40 days, we haven't seen any kind of retaliation.
Yes.
In the messaging, we are the weakest on social media.
Right.
We are obviously expressing our condolence, deepest sympathy with the families of
Yes.
the people who have sacrificed their life. But where's the retaliation? Where's the response?
Where's the
the
response?
Prime Minister and the Defense Minister on ground,
Right.
trying to understand the situation, be with the people, and say that a strong response will be
Right.
given?
A strong response will be given indeed. And General Dua, you were mentioning the same, that you need a bold response. Do you think that there is a threshold beyond which we may not strike Pakistan? And I think we've in the past also kind of highlighted that threshold, which is a large casualty of our brave soldiers, or the fact that if a very a very high value target was attacked by these terrorists, only then we would respond. You think we may have made a mistake by setting that kind of a threshold, allowing this Pakistan deep state to go in for these low level kind of attacks, small attacks, as Aditya mentioned, across over a month, adding up to a big picture, but there's no one big attack. How do you respond to this kind of rash of terror attacks, small little attacks, 7, 8 over a period of 1 month?
Sandeep, I'll put it this way. How much is large enough? Pulwama was 40,
Yes,
but Uri was 18.
right.
You see, so I don't think you can put a data to it. How much is it? Will 10 not be enough? Will it be 12? So, to lay down a threshold purely in terms of numbers would not be correct.
Right.
I mean, if you take your mind back to 2016, that is the year when Pathankot happened, before Uri happened.
Yes.
I was the corps commander then. Before that, the Pathankot happened, a few months before that. After that, there was a massive attack in EDI building in Pampore, where terrorists took over a 6-storied building, and then
Yes.
we had to take out 66 hostages. That went on for a couple of days. That was a
Absolutely. Yes.
high-flying operation. So, high-profile operation. So, I think it is not to do with numbers.
Right.
It is to do with the context. And today, I think the context is that in the run-up to the elections, on the back of things improving towards or moving towards normalcy in Kashmir, and the elections, that is the Lok Sabha elections, haven't gone off fairly peacefully and with good turnout. This is the time when they're trying to activate these areas. Here, soldiers have taken hits.
Yes.
There have been multiple. There have been multiple targets, soft targets, in the Riasi in the attack. The number of people killed were fortunately lesser than was the potential. The whole bus did fall down, and that's how it
Yes.
saved people. And the terrorists ran away. Otherwise, it could have gone up to the numbers of Pulwama. So the point is, we have to see it in that light, and
Right.
that's where I would reiterate what I said. I think the time has come for a bold response.
Yes.
What shape that response will take is for the leadership to decide, both the leadership at the national level and the military leadership to decide.
Right. Very important point there, General Dua. It's the context and not the numbers. And of course, as you've emphasized earlier as well, the time has come for a bold response. General Kulkarni, how do you respond to a country like Pakistan, which is absolutely okay with losing thousands of its citizens? They've been fighting a war against us, an undeclared war for over 3 decades, where they willingly sacrifice thousands of their citizens across the border. I don't think there's any example of any other country in the world that so callously treats its citizens, pushes them across the border as cannon fodder. How do you raise the cost for a country like this?
See, Sandeep, if you look at Pakistan, way back in 1947, there were 137 madrasas. And by the time it was about 1976, they had about something like 900. And today, and subsequently when Ziaul Haq took over and then started his, what he called is Nawaz-e-Mustafa, and there were 10,000 madrasas, over 15 lakh and 30 lakh children studying in these madrasas. The radicalization has gone down to all of to the society in Pakistan. So you have to raise the cost for them. If you don't raise the cost in the sense, just a knee-jerk reaction, striking here, striking there, doesn't matter. What is it? We also have to succeed on ground to be able to identify those overground workers. We have to identify those people who have been supporting them. One or two does, it is across the board. There should be fear instilled in India also amongst those people, staying closer to that should they be caught, they are finished. Not only they are finished, the families, everything is all over. Unless that cause, because there are so many factors that play. Religion is just one, money is yet another.
Yes.
They're just a kind of, joining them for whatever the reason it is. Pakistan is our enemy. There is the doubt. For all these years, we call it a proxy war. Is it a proxy war? It's gone much, much, much beyond it. We've lost so many lives over the years. Now, what kind of a proxy war is this? Pakistan is maintaining and managing it below the threshold so that you cannot just react like this. We in the world are talking about wanting peace. We are talking diplomacy. We are talking talks and not terror and not strikes. Here you have now China deeply entrenched into Pakistan. They're very much there in Gilgit-Baltistan. They're so much into Baluchistan. So you find it's getting more difficult day by the day. But at least the least we can do is to make sure that Pakistan, whether anti-infiltration, prevent infiltration, no question of infiltration coming in. Whatever it be, use all means possible. And at the same time, use your technical and human end to ensure that Pakistan will show its relevance. Valley,
Absolutely.
again in the valley, you see in Kupwara, you see in Kulgam, do you see the kind of hideouts that they have? You see if Rashid Engineer can win Lok Sabha elections, tell us that the mindset has not changed. There are 4.5 lakh people who have supported him and brought him to the parliament. A man who is in jail for the last 5 years for what? Nothing but terror funding, a separatist, everybody
Absolutely.
knows. But there he takes oath, and there. So you have a mindset in the valley, you have a mindset over here. Pakistan is exploiting that, and Pakistan is seen very clearly that there is a divide in India. There are people in India who can sleep with the enemy, and so they are exploiting it.
Absolutely.
They are your enemy. Pakistan is an enemy, so it's doing what it is doing.
Pakistan is the enemy, it's doing what it's doing, and the Indian state as well should do what it needs to do. As General Dua mentioned, the time has come for a bold response, possibly surgical strikes, possibly air strikes. Who knows what responses are being planned. But the fact is that terror and talks don't go hand in hand, Aditya, and it's very clear now that the time might have come to instill terror into the minds of the terrorists, as our experts have told us this evening. But thank you very much for joining us, General Kulkarni, General Dua, and my colleague Aditya Raj Kaul.